Hi, this is Teresa from Humanitarians, and the reason I put a lot of emphasis on management is because it was one of the things I saw that most people struggled with when I was on the field, when I was in HQ, and also it's one of the things that I struggled with most. Management is much more challenging in a humanitarian context for obvious reasons. I mean, you might think it isn't, but it is. Because management is difficult anyway, but when you add on other challenges like the places that we work in, the type of people that we work with, let's say, the fact that there's a lot of rotation, there's a lot of different, and the types of problems that arise when you're doing humanitarian work that don't arise in more, let's say, conventional managerial scenarios, right? So it requires a lot more than knowing how to plan, or a lot of people, because I did a lot of interviews when I was in my position before about how people saw what their main challenges were on the field, and they always said people management, and what I would say to that is that it is about people management, but management is so much more than people management, and you can't kind of separate it off, right? Because as people management is one thing, and then the rest of management is another thing, because it's all integrated at the end of the day. And it doesn't matter what kind of management you're doing, whether it's security, whether it's people or whatever, or logistics, it's still management, right? And management is multifaceted. It requires a lot of different things. It requires a lot of different skills, but what it has in common, it has people and things, right? So you're managing people and things to do something, to get something done, right? And then there's 1,000 ways to do that. Maybe not 1,000, but there's certainly not one way to do it. And I think that's the thing to understand. If you are a manager with good skills in management and leadership, in theory, you should be able to manage anything, anyone, anywhere, right? Especially if you've done humanitarian work. I mean, if you're anybody who goes into the private sector after humanitarian work, it's like, okay, this is the same or similar, but very different at the same time, no? So the important thing, like with anything, is to understand, okay, what are the components of management and leadership. I don't think they should be separated, so that no matter where I go, I have enough grounding to be able to adapt to whatever it is I have to do, get done, wherever it is I have to do and get it done. So what we're about here is not teaching a specific methodology, but to highlight the types of things that as a manager you need, and a leader, you need to work on always, right? I've seen people know that think that, okay, I'm a good manager, the feedback is good. I would say two things to that. There are very few good managers, and also don't take too much stock of feedback, because most people don't know how to give feedback properly, and feedback tends to be more about personality and how much they like you or how much they like working with you. Doesn't mean necessarily you're a good manager. Management is about performance at the end of the day, right? Whether you're able to produce a team that performs well in a given context, yeah? And for that, particularly for humanitarian crisis in a humanitarian context where things are more challenging, you need to really work on your skills. And a managerial track, let's say, never ends. You never stop learning, because there's so many facets to management and leadership. I mean, just to think about it: planning, motivating, giving feedback, managing your bosses, managing your colleagues, the other managers, managing the information, managing workloads, managing stress, managing productivity, managing your time, prioritization, and decision making. Yeah, and I could go on and on and on about all of the skills that make up what a manager does every day, and there's different levels, obviously, of management. You can be managing one person or two people, or you can be managing 60, 70, or hundreds of people, right? So the more, obviously, people you are managing, the more complexity you're managing, the more scale you're managing, the more stakes in play, the better a manager you need to be, and the better a leader you need to be to get everybody moving in the same direction. Yeah, so here it's kind of the groundings, let's say, of management and leadership, but we will also go into more advanced, that takes people through the natural progression of a normal, let's say, managerial track career in any humanitarian organization. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you learn something. And remember, there's no point watching videos unless you apply the actual tips or advice, or really work on your skills. So, I mean, every day that you get up and you're a manager, or you're preparing to be a manager, you need to be thinking, okay, how am I going to approach this day? What am my team doing? What am I doing? What's my boss doing? Etc., etc. But we'll talk about that in a minute. See you in the next one. Ciao.